July 21st, a special meeting of the Newark Unified Board of Education. Again, these meetings are being broadcast virtually through Zoom, and I believe YouTube live streaming as well. And with that, Ms. Gutierrez, roll call, please.
President Martinez,
Here.
Member Jean,
Here.
Member Nguyen,
Here.
and Member Rodriguez.
I believe he'll be joining us shortly. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez. And with that, we'll move on to item 1.3, which is approval of the agenda. Any modifications to the agenda? Okay.
There are none.
Thank you. And with that, I will ask for a motion and a second to approve the agenda as is.
I move to approve the agenda as it is.
I second.
Okay. Member Zhang moves. Member Nguyen seconds. Member Zhang, how do you vote?
Yes.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Thank you. And my vote is a yes as well, so motion carries. Thank you. And Ms. Gutierrez, any submissions for public comment and closed session items?
None, President Martinez.
Thank you. So with that, we will recess to closed session, and we will be rejoining this particular meeting in about 30 minutes. Thank you so much. Hello, can you hear me? Give it another minute. I think we've got everyone except Member Rodriguez. So Ms. Gutierrez, Member Rodriguez joined in closed session. So we will just give him a minute to join this Zoom meeting. Okay, we'll give it another minute and then we'll get started. Ms. Gutierrez, can you please resend the link to Member Rodriguez? And in the meantime, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so welcome. We are reconvening from closed session. And with that, the first item is, again, just a reminder, we are on Zoom and on also live on YouTube as well, live streaming on YouTube. We will move to item 3.2, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. Does anybody want to volunteer to take the lead on that? I'll call on somebody. Member Nguyen, thank you.
Yes, I will do. Please
Please
stand.
stand. Oh, sorry.
Ready, begin. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to
to
the
the flag
flag of the
of the
United States of America,
and to the republic
for
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Member Nguyen. So item 3.3 is reporting out on closed session items, and we have no reportable items to discuss. Thank you. And with that, we move to item 4.1, the superintendent report. Mr. Triplett, do we have any items for discussion?
Hi, good evening, board president, board members, and public and staff. This is Mark Triplett, superintendent. I would like to share a brief presentation to give a bit of report. And just bear with me for a second as I, there we go. So not a lot to report, but significant news that you've most likely already heard, but I wanted to make sure it was here in this forum. And that is that on Friday, Governor Newsom made a big announcement regarding the reopening of schools in the fall. And part of his announcement was that any school district that was in a county that is currently on the California Department of Public Health monitoring list will be mandated to start in distance learning. So Alameda County is on that currently on that monitoring list. And so Newark Unified will be starting the school year in distance learning. And the mandate from the governor is that any district who is in a county that is on the monitoring list will not be able to open their schools for in-person learning until they have been off the monitoring list for 14 days. So I sent out an announcement to all of the community and staff and also on our board, on our website, but I wanted to make sure to announce it here in this forum as well. And then I just wanted to share some of the 5 requirements that the governor did state about distance learning. The expectations, one is that there must be access to devices and conductivity for all students. 2, that any instruction or any district must provide daily live interactions between teachers and students. 3, being that challenging assignments must be provided equivalent to in-person instruction. So he really emphasized rigor. And then lastly, that we must make sure that we are adapting lessons in distance learning for English language learners and special education students. So we're going to have a lot more information about the distance learning as we go along. And our next town hall is on Thursday, when we will be giving more information about how distance learning will look and answering other questions related to the fall. But I just wanted to give the board a little bit of a preview. And I also I think it's really important that we continue to be aware and be monitoring the COVID cases that are occurring in our county. So you see here a map some of you are probably familiar with. This is straight from the county public health department. And as you can see on there, we are in 94560 zip code. And so this is color coded based on the level of cases in any given zip code. And while we are certainly not the most severely impacted, you can see that the Newark area is experiencing an impact from COVID. And then I also wanted to share this with you that you may have seen on the county public health website. This is the total cases to date based on race or ethnicity. And this was gleaned from earlier this week. I wanted to point it out just because, as you can see on there, the number of cases for Latinx population in this county is almost 5 times greater than any other population. And I bring that up just because it's really an example of the systemic racism that continues to occur in our country. And so I wanted to tonight pay a little bit of homage and honor to John Lewis, who was a fighter for social justice, racial equality, who passed away this past weekend. He helped shape the March on Washington with Martin Luther King. He was involved with Bloody Sunday and the March to Selma. He was one of the Freedom Riders. He gave his life literally and figuratively to trying to fight against racism and really promote social justice for all. And he was a congressman all the way up until the point that the time that he died. The reason let me go back. The reason I wanted to just honor him is because I really think that the work that we are doing and the work that this board is doing is really a continuation of his work. And I do not think it's hyperbole to say that the things that we are doing in our district to try to ensure equity and equal access for all kids is really a part of this larger movement. So I just wanted to thank the board. And also tonight you will see later on in the board agenda that we are going to be speaking about devices and access online. And there is a proposal to request significant amount of Chromebooks so that we can provide equal access to all. And I just want to emphasize how important that is, I think, to all of us, to ensure that we really try to fight against the inequalities and disproportionality that exists in our county, in our country. And I view equity of access to online resources as part of that fight. And with that, I will stop sharing and turn it back over to the President.
Thank you, Mr. Triplett. Okay, and so with that, you did give us a preview to new business and item 5.1, which is the purchase of Chromebooks. And who will be taking the lead on that, presenting that item?
Yes, so we've asked our IT manager to come, Mr. Paul Rose. He's our new person in charge of IT, and he's going to speak on this agenda item, and he has a presentation.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm going to go ahead, if it's okay, to present a couple slides.
Absolutely, and welcome, Mr. Rose.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. Okay, am I sharing here? Can everybody see the slides?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So this first slide, as you know, Dr. Triplett has initially kind of touched on that with the Newark Unified School District being focused on equity and access for all of our students. In this focus, we work to provide technology device for every student. As per Governor Newsom's mandate, all schools within Alameda County will begin the 2021 school year in the distance learning model. In preparation for this upcoming school year, we will need to purchase more technology to ensure both the students and staff have access to the tools they need for the new school year. The next slide, we will touch on the student Chromebooks. We realized with the mandate of going distance learning and the district adopting a one-to-one model that we needed to evaluate and inventory our current Chromebooks to make sure that they were adequate to provide the necessary access for students. And in doing so, it came to our attention that we have about 1,800 student devices that are what is called end of life. And what that means is that Google no longer supports or releases new operating system updates for these devices, which pretty much means that they include no new security patches and or feature updates for these devices. These devices still function as a Chromebook. Students can still use them, log in to browse the internet, do their homework. But the big reasoning to replace these devices is around the time of the state standardized testing, or the SBAC. The minimum requirements that are supported for the testing come out right before the window opens, and these devices, because they will not be receiving operating system updates, will not meet the minimum requirements for the standardized testing. So that's the reasoning behind wanting to replace the student end of life devices. And then moving on to the next slide, which touches on the staff Chromebooks. We also, in preparing to inventory our current Chromebooks, found that most of our staff devices appear to have onboarded in September of 2015, which means that these devices are going on 5 years old. We suggest that these devices should be replaced before they officially end of life at the end of the 2021 school year. Another big reason that we need to replace these devices, as what previously stated, that these devices are going on 5 years old, that many of the devices are starting to have failing hardware that would make distance learning difficult, if not possible, such as failing microphones and cameras. The quote, it shows a quantity of 350 devices that we are quoting. Our 2019-2020 CalPADS FTE count shows about 313 full-time teachers, and we are trying to make sure that we have a few above that count so that we can have the Chromebooks ready and kind of to minimize the downtime should devices fail during the distance learning model. So, I mean, that covers, I guess, most of the reasoning behind that. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to clarify.
Thank you, Paul. And I'm happy to answer any other questions as well.
Yeah, before we start discussion, I will, this is an item that requires an action. So I will ask for a motion and a second to open discussion on the staff recommendation to approve the purchase of the Chromebooks based on the proposal.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Member Rodriguez.
I'll
And I
second.
have a,
I'll second.
Member Nguyen seconds. Okay, so we will go ahead and open discussion.
I
and
like to
actually-
open it if you don't mind.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, I can't see everybody, so please speak up. So go ahead, Member Rodriguez. I'm trying to get everybody on there. Go ahead.
When we got the Chromebooks 5 years ago or so, you know, we spend a lot of money to get the Chromebooks, and naturally, the way technology goes, something is really obsolete. I'm surprised that it's taken 5 years. I would think it'd be obsolete maybe after a year or two. But oh, Mr. Rose, congratulations on you being the new IT manager.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. The question I had is, what happens to the Chromebooks that the kids already have? Did we pay for recycle when we bought those, and how does that work? And then the second question is, can we buy them without paying the recycling? I know it's not a lot of money, but it seems like the Chromebooks in 3 or 4 years, we should be able to do our own recycling, you know, and just take them to the I don't understand the recycling part of the whole thing. That's basically my my question.
Yeah, I would have to check. I don't know if it's a state requirement that all electronic devices are required to have the recycling fee or not. I don't have that answer handy at the moment, but I want to say, and I could be incorrect, but I want to say that it is a required fee by the state.
And wasn't there supposed to be monies either from the state or federal because of the distance learning that would pay for these additional costs to districts to order, you know, more technology?
I can answer that, board member. So these funds, we do have learning loss mitigation funds that are one-time funds, and those are the funds that we would be utilizing for this expense.
Okay, thank you.
I actually have, oh, go ahead, Member Nguyen, go ahead.
So just a quick question. How many Chromebooks do we currently have district-wide? I know that we want to replace about 1,800, but I just want to know how many do we have district-wide?
That's what we are in the process of doing, a physical inventory and evaluation. I know right now, if we run a report on Google, something in the ballpark of 9,000 devices show up. That obviously is not accurate. That it includes devices that have been surplused or damaged that have not been removed, which is why we want to physically update our inventory. But I know right before COVID happened, in the shelter in place, the reports, according to Google, showed that we had approximately on average 6,000 Google devices connecting. So we're trying to kind of verify, you know, how many actual Chromebooks, working Chromebooks that we have in inventory.
Okay, so with this purchase, do we have a way to asset tag these devices so that you guys know and where it's going to be distributed and how you're going to be getting them back?
We are working on that. At the time, they are asset tagged, but prior to my time being here, I don't think there was a central database, so to speak, of all of the asset tagged devices. We're working on trying to come up with a plan to do that going forward.
Okay, and also I know that we do have Wi-Fi devices that we will be passing out. I just want to make sure that those are going to also be asset tagged.
I will have to check on that. I don't know if they currently are.
Okay,
We haven't, we have a stockpile of those, and so we would definitely want to make sure that those are tagged so that we can track them in an adequate way.
and then one last question. I looked at the quote for the staff Chromebooks, and I noticed that you're picking out a 13.3-inch device for the staff, and I was hoping that I know a lot of them, including myself, I have issues reading, you know, on a small screen. So I was wondering if it was possible. I mean, it doesn't need to be on this one, but if we do get additional devices later on, that we could consider maybe getting some devices that are larger, so that staff can really do some work and have multiple windows open on them.
Yeah, thank you, Member Nguyen. Oh, I was just going to say, we did receive a question about that today from a board member, and Paul did do some research on that, and he can speak a little bit to it. But we did explore the possibility of getting larger screens. It's a trade-off with all of these devices. Unfortunately, the backlog just internationally right now is so big that even waiting a month then puts us even farther along in terms of receiving the devices. So this is one of the reasons why we're bringing this to you today, is because even the time that we waited since the last board meeting, evidently the wait list has increased dramatically. And just to let the board know, that currently these devices, that if the board decides to approve this, we're not anticipating, unfortunately, that these devices will arrive for the start of school. We do have enough devices, we anticipate, so that all students that need a device will be able to start school with a device. And then what we'll do is we'll have a plan for swapping out devices that are expiring and being able to replenish them with new devices. But to your point, the larger screens, when Mr. Rose did the research, the larger screens would take even longer to get here. And
Yeah.
so we were like, that was a temptation, but then we realized that it's looking like those computers wouldn't arrive until spring. And
No,
so it's a little bit of a
I
trade-off.
understand. I understand the urgency, and I know that a lot of times whatever they have in stock or available is what you guys have. That's what is available to us. So it's not a hard issue for me, but I just was kind of curious. That's all. Thank you so much.
And big letters for mature adults like myself.
Okay, I actually had a question about the funding source. I did notice that we will be using the learning loss mitigation funds, and this is for the broad population, of course. But if I recall, some of that is truly for kids that are at risk for true loss, for learning loss. If we think about, because this is a big price tag, $650,000 approximately. What are we looking in terms of total dollars for learning loss mitigation monies? And I'm not sure if Mr. Triplett or Ms. Dela Cruz, if you can just give us that perspective.
Sure, I can chime in, and then Ms. Dela Cruz, feel free to add or correct me if I'm wrong. I think we're looking at approximately $4.5 million total in learning loss mitigation dollars, and that includes, I believe, the special ed funds. And we will be bringing a proposal in, I believe it's late August, maybe or maybe early August, to the board of how we intend to spend those funds in their entirety. And fortunately, the rules are such that we can use some of the funds to pay for things that that have already, expenditures that we've already had related to the pandemic. And so that's what we're currently developing as a plan for how much of those funds we use to cover previous expenses and how much we use to cover the expenses that we're incurring now. Ms. Del Cruz, did you want to add anything to that? How did I do?
You did great. Yes, so we do have about 4.5 million, which includes special ed 1.4. And we hope to bring the plan forward, the continuity plan, in September. And these are one-time dollars. The expenditure deadline is also very short. We have to spend these monies by December 30th, 2020 of this year.
Thank you. Thanks for reminding us of the date. I do remember there was like a relatively short window for, okay, gotcha. Okay, any other comments or questions?
I just have one more.
Sure.
Is there any way, and it's probably going to be a no to my question, but is there any way that the students can keep some of the old Chromebooks?
That's an interesting question that I haven't discussed with anybody, but Paul, do you have any initial thoughts about that?
It has come up. I think we have to kind of refer to board policy and ed code, but I know other districts have done it. I don't know the logistics of it, but that was something that came up, that if there's a way, if they're still functioning, but not, for testing, the state testing purposes, if they're not fully functional for us, so to speak, that if there's a way to, have the students potentially still keep using them.
Yeah.
So that's just something we could look into. I'm sorry. Yep.
I think I was going to say the same thing. I appreciate the question, Member Rodriguez, and I think that's a great thing for us to go back and develop a plan around.
Things are changing so fast that what used to be might not be, especially when it comes to kids and having computers. So, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Rodriguez. Okay, so with that, I will ask Ms. Gutierrez to repeat the motion on the table, please.
Okay, 1 second. I lost my agenda. Oh, here we go. Apologize, I'm working on a bunch of devices because of technical difficulties here. So we have the purchase of Chromebooks for 2020-2021 school year. And I have a motion. Go, yes?
Sorry, go ahead. So the motion was made, I believe, by Member Rodriguez.
And second by Member Nguyen.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. All right, and with that, we will go ahead and take a vote. Member Zhang?
Yes.
Thank you. Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
And my vote is yes as well. So the motion carries and the request or the staff recommendation is approved. Thank you so much. Thank you for the thorough report. I think that really always helps, make our decisions a little bit easier to make, even when you've got such a large price tag, but it's something so important. So thank you so much for bringing that forth.
So are they going to get them right away, or the time frame as far as, since we're going to order them right away?
We'll be ordering them right away, hopefully tomorrow. But unfortunately, we anticipate that there is going to be a wait list. And so we're expecting, I think as of last week, they were telling us that we should expect them in late fall to early winter. Is that right, Mr. Rose?
Yeah, unless there's an unexpected kind of surge in the supply chain, that was our last given data.
Thank you. But to your point, Mr. Turpel, we have enough to get kits started, correct? Okay.
Yes, that's right. We believe that we have enough to supply a computer for any child that needs one.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Rose, I actually have one. So if anybody needs one, you let me know and I'll be glad to give it back. That's where I just keep all my cords. So anybody really from the board, and as you start to take stock, if there are some, we should probably take stock or take inventory of other devices that we may be able to give back if needed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll move to item 5.2 under new business, the appointment of the board clerk. So this is with regards to previous member Gutierrez's resignation. She at the time was holding the position of vice president or clerk, depending kind of where you're reading the nameplate or the governance handbook. So that's obviously a very critical role from a signature perspective. So we wanted to make sure we got that up for discussion, and we moved to assign that. Before we continue with that, I know that there were some questions about appointment to fill that seat. Just very quickly, I will say this will be an agendized item on our first regular meeting of August 6th. And please correct me if I don't have that date correct. And at that point, and the reason we didn't bring it up here is we were just trying to make sure there are some timelines when the vacancy is open close to an election. So we wanted to make sure we had everything under, or correct, if you will. So that will be agendized. At that time, the board will give direction as to whether we will appoint or whether we will hold a special election. Once we make that decision at the next board meeting, we'll go ahead and discuss next steps. Okay, but for now, just wanted to really focus tonight's discussion on the appointment of the board clerk. If we look at our current board governance handbook, we do have a board leadership rotation, and it is an older schedule for those who have it in front of them. But at this point, the next person that is scheduled to move into that role is Member Zhang. So I would propose that we assign Member Bowen Zhang to become the clerk for our board. So that is the motion. I'm sorry, that is the recommendation. Discussion from the rest of the board member? Comments?
Do we have to vote on discussion?
This is an action item. Yeah. So
Do we have to vote to open discussion?
Actually, yes. Thank you. I always try to be a stickler. I forget. So yes, may I have a motion and a second to open discussion on the appointment of the board clerk?
I move.
Thank you. Member Nguyen? May I have a second?
No, I can't do both.
I will second the motion. Okay. So any questions, comments regarding the proposed action?
Congratulations, Member Zhang. I'm happy for you.
So am I.
Okay. So and we're kind of trying to get through the language here. So I hope we've got, and please, Ms. Gutierrez, correct me if the language and the references are correct. So assuming that we are, if there are no further questions, I would like to the motion to be repeated with, again, Member Zhang being the next person to rotate into this role.
President Martinez, currently we are at the appointment of the board clerk with the recommendation being Member Zhang. And I have a motion from Member Nguyen and a second from President Martinez.
Thank you. And with that, Member Nguyen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
Member Zhang?
Yes.
And my vote is yes as well. So the motion carries, and congratulations, Member Zhang, and welcome to the clerk position or vice president position, the board. Thank you.
Make sure you make them work.
Oh, we will. All right, the next item, thank you so much. The next item is item 5.3, which is the Board of Education consolidation, sorry, that's my tongue, consolidation committee assignment. again, with the resignation of Member Gutierrez, we did have a couple of committees that now, we'll have to fill, knowing that we will be taking action to fill that seat within the next, from 60 days from the date of resignation, which is July 14th. The one we really wanted to bring forward is the consolidation committee, because that is just the time sensitivity. And we know we've got some meetings that are scheduled here. So I wanted to go ahead and bring that one up. And these also, the assignments to these committees do require a board vote. With that, I will, at the fear of kind of being too forward, I would like to propose myself to be on the committee. That is something that I had expressed interest early on, and I had ceded my seat or my to the previous other member Wynn and member Gutierrez. So I would ask that you consider signing me to the committee to consolidation. So any again, this is an action. So I'm not sure. I think I'm treading a little bit in unknown in terms of the right verbiage, but maybe we just open for discussion and then kind of have it at that point. So
I can help you with that if you want.
okay, sure, that would be great.
So when you have a committee and then you have, in this case, a resignation in the opening, then normally you would ask if anybody's interested, and you've already stated that you are. So I'm going to make the motion that we approve you, but I just want to let the board know that if this committee is still going after I retire in November, I would like to, I'd like to be on this committee as a community member. Okay, with that, I'd like to make the motion that we appoint Member Martinez to be our representative to the Consolidation Committee.
I second, but we have to open the agenda
discussion.
item for discussion.
But that's what we're doing.
Okay.
So so this is the motion to open for discussion.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
you.
I second.
Thank you, Member Wynn. Thank you. Thank you, Member Rodriguez. Any questions or comments from any of the other board members? Thank you for the guidance, Member Rodriguez.
Member Rodriguez, can you repeat what you said about the community member?
If the committee's still going after I retire, then I'm going to be asked to put on that one
I see.
and the bond committee, 2 committees, to continue to be involved.
Oh, you mean the bond? Oh, I see.
Thank you.
But this one is basically to appoint, in this case, Member Martinez to be our representative on this particular committee. So
Okay.
if nobody else has spread interest, then we just ask for the vote and then move on.
Okay. Yep. If there are no other Member Zhang, any additional questions?
No.
Thank you. So with that, Member Ms. Gutierrez, can you repeat the motion?
Yes, this is to appoint the President Martinez as the second committee member to the Consolidation Committee, with the motion by Member Rodriguez and a second by Member Wynn.
Thank you. Member Wynn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Member Zhang?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
And my vote is a yes as well. So motion passes with 4 votes. Thank you.
You're allowed to vote for yourself.
I did vote for myself. Thank you.
The other committee position that's opened is for the city liaison, and I would like to nominate Member Zhang for that position, and he attended last night.
We'll bring that one back. We did not add it. It's not
Okay.
agendized. I apologize for that. Yep. So we know we have, I think there were at least 2 or 3 others. So we
Okay.
can certainly, and we could discuss whether we agendize before or we wait for the 5th board member to be either appointed or elected, depending on what we decide on the April 6th meeting. And
Can I
at that point,
I'm sorry. Member John is already on that committee, so we'll be appointing.
okay, is he an alternate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, no.
excellent. So that for now, he will yeah, absolutely, the default.
Okay, I apologize. When I was reading the background, I misunderstood that with the wording, it says consider other committees as that needs updates as a result of this vacancy. So I apologize for that.
No, that's okay. There's just 2 members on that particular committee. And Member John's already on there. And I personally would like to vote to have you on there. But we can't do that right now.
We won't, we'll bring it back, but thank you again. And Member Nguyen, thank you for that. We will make sure that we, that is considered. And again, for now, it's resolved since he is the alternate. So that works out great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we move to item 6, which is the consent agenda. And there's 2 items on there, non-personnel items. May I have a motion and a second to, we have a policy, I'm sorry, and 2 administrative regulations. They're both for first reading, so we could approve at first reading or pull. Does anybody want to pull either of those items? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to accept the 2, sorry, both items 6.1 and 6.2.
So I move to approve 6.1 and 6.2.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All right, and this is a consent item, so I will ask for a vote. Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
Yes.
Member Zhang?
Yes.
And my vote is a yes as well. So consent agenda items are, we accept the recommendations. Thank you very much. And with that, I will entertain we're moving to adjournment. And so I will entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
I'll make the motion. It's 6:13, I think.
Thank you. Member Rodriguez, may I have a second?
I'll second.
Member Nguyen seconds. And may I have a vote? Member Zhang, how do you vote?
Yes.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Rodriguez?
This would be the earliest we ever adjourn. Yes.
We also started earlier, but thank you, Member Rodriguez. My vote is a yes as well. So with that, we adjourn at 6:14 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great
Good night.
evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night. Good evening.
Good night.
Bye.